When you step into the wolf's lair, the first thing that hits you isn't the history itself. It's the atmosphere. There's a weight in the air. A mixture of silence, secrecy, and something almost palpable. As if the walls themselves remember the countless decisions, whispers, and plans that unfolded within them. Nestled deep in the forests of East Prussia, what today seems like a quiet, overgrown area was once the nerve center of the Third Reich, where Hitler and his top generals plotted strategies that would ripple across the world. The sheer scale of the complex is astounding. Originally built in 1941, it was a sprawling network of bunkers, barracks, and fortified command posts, camouflaged so carefully that enemy reconnaissance would often pass over it without a second thought. You begin to grasp the level of paranoia and foresight that went into its design. Every concrete wall, every hidden corridor was a calculated move to protect not just a man, but the vision of an entire regime. Walking along the cracked paths and seeing the remnants of barbed wire and concrete foundations, you can almost imagine the life that once thrived here. Not the life of ordinary people, but of individuals who wielded immense power and bore enormous responsibility. Hitler's private quarters, for instance, were designed with both luxury and security in mind. The furnishings, though stripped by time and scavengers, hint at a strange mix of elegance and function. Even today, you can trace the outlines of rooms where secret meetings occurred, where plans were drafted and scrutinized, and where the fate of millions may have been quietly decided. There's a chilling sense that behind these walls, ordinary rules didn't apply. Decisions here didn't just change the course of a battle, they changed the course of history. But the wolf's lair wasn't just about the man at the top. The complex was a hive of activity, populated by generals, officers, secretaries, and guards, all performing roles that were critical to the war effort. Some of the bunkers were equipped with state-of-the-art communication systems for the time, allowing orders to be dispatched across Europe with remarkable speed. Maps were strewn across tables, telegrams sent and received, and strategy sessions often lasted for hours. One of the most haunting aspects of visiting the site is seeing the scale of meticulous planning that went into each operation. Every decision was deliberated in a space that seemed completely removed from the outside world, insulated from the chaos of the battlefield and yet directly influencing it. The hidden rooms are perhaps the most fascinating. Many of these spaces were designed for secrecy. Small, windowless chambers where only a handful of people would ever gather. Some served as safe rooms, reinforced with meters of concrete meant to withstand bombings and sabotage. Others held archives, filled with documents that, if discovered, could have unraveled entire military campaigns. Today, these rooms are empty, stripped of their contents, but the echoes of their purpose remain. You can almost hear the murmurs of conversations, the scratching of pens on paper, the careful deliberation of military leaders who knew the stakes of their choices. It's a visceral reminder of how human ambition and strategy intersect with the very walls that house them. Walking further into the ruins, you notice traces of the past in the most unexpected places. Graffiti from soldiers who once passed through, remnants of insulation and wiring, and even the faint outlines of camouflage paint still cling to the concrete. Each fragment tells a story, a piece of the vast puzzle that was the wolf's lair. One can't help but be struck by the eerie juxtaposition of nature reclaiming the site while the weight of history remains frozen in place. Trees grow through the foundations. Moss covers once pristine walls. And yet the layout, the scale, and the intent behind every structure are unmistakable. This is a place where time has both eroded and preserved memory, offering a unique window into the past. The strategic importance of the wolf's lair cannot be overstated. It wasn't just a headquarters. It was a symbol of power, intimidation, and meticulous planning. From here, some of the most significant campaigns of World War II were coordinated, battles planned, and failures confronted. But for all its grandeur and security, the site was not invincible. The Allies' intelligence and the internal dissent within Germany eventually meant that even the most fortified positions could be threatened. Visiting today, you can see where attempts at sabotage or bombing could have taken place. And the layout itself tells a story of constant vigilance and concern. The people who lived and worked here were acutely aware that every decision had life or death consequences, not just for themselves, but for millions across the globe. Perhaps the most human aspect of the wolf's lair is imagining the daily life that occurred within it. It's easy to think of history in terms of monumental events. But these walls also witnessed mundane moments. Officers writing letters home, brief pauses over meals, quiet conversations behind closed doors. There's a certain intimacy to these remnants. A reminder that history isn't just made by battles and decrees, but also by the lives of those who participate in it. Even the tension of plotting an operation or the anxiety of knowing the Allies were closing in can be felt, lingering in the air like an unseen specter. What's also fascinating is the blend of ingenuity and desperation in the design of the bunkers. Engineers had to account for everything: concealment from aerial reconnaissance, resistance to explosives, secure communication lines, and accommodation for hundreds of personnel. Some bunkers were constructed so deeply that they could survive a direct hit, while others were cleverly disguised with earthen mounds and dense forestry. The Wolf's Lair wasn't just a home or an office. It was a fortress, a labyrinth, and a microcosm of the Third Reich's obsession with control. Standing amidst these structures, you gain a new appreciation for the scale of human ingenuity when combined with fear and ambition. As you trace the paths of the former guards and officers, it becomes impossible not to reflect on the broader context. This site, while hidden, was part of a vast network of operations, decisions, and atrocities. Its walls may have shielded those inside, but the consequences of the actions taken here were felt across continents. The Wolf's Lair stands today as a stark reminder of how places can hold memory, not just in documents or photographs, but in their very existence. Visiting it is more than a historical excursion. It's a journey into the psychology of power, secrecy, and the haunting persistence of human ambition. In the end, exploring the Wolf's Lair is about more than just seeing a bunker or a series of abandoned rooms. It's about understanding the invisible threads that connect past decisions to present realities. It's about walking through spaces where history was made, decisions that shaped the world were debated, and the fragility of human life was constantly at the forefront of thought. The silence that envelops the site today is deceptive. It hides the intensity, fear, ambition, and strategy that once defined every moment within these walls. And yet, amid the decay and the quiet, there's a story waiting to be told. One that reminds us that history is not just in textbooks or photographs. It is etched in the very stones and soil of places like the Wolf's Lair. Visiting the Wolf's Lair leaves an impression that goes beyond the visual. It's emotional, intellectual, and visceral all at once. It challenges you to consider the magnitude of human ambition, the consequences of secrecy and power, and the ways in which history is both preserved and lost. For anyone fascinated by World War II, military strategy, or the psychological weight of power, this is not just a sight to see. It's an experience to feel. Every corridor, every bunker, and every fragment of concrete carries a lesson, a warning, and a story that deserves to be remembered. The Wolf's Lair may be hidden in the forest, but its echoes resonate across time, reminding us of the complexity, danger, and human drama that unfolded behind these walls.